Hi, and welcome to the Cosmic Prayer. I'm Reverend Laura Topper, and I'm here to share with you on this holy day, Boxing Day, as we call it here in the UK, which is the day after Christmas Day. I don't know what you call it in the US, but we call it Boxing Day, as it's that time of kind of boxing up all of the gifts and the wrapping and just taking a step within ourselves to acknowledge this time of year. And of course, it can also be a time for many, of going out, being in the shops, because the shops are open here, and I'm sure they're open around the world again after the day of Christmas, and spending money. So it is, in the world of form, it is a consumeristic event, Boxing Day. It's a time where we're not maybe working, we're off of work, and we're kind of in that liminal place, that in-between place of celebrating the festive season and bringing in the new year. And I'm here most weeks, every week. I have been here every week since August the 10th, 2020, sharing the Cosmic Prayer, shining the light of prayer through New Thought Media Network with this broadcast and this program. And I'm here today on my own and welcoming everyone in. Well, I'm not on my own, but I mean, I don't have a guest today. You are the guest. This is how I'm doing it today. You are the guest on the Cosmic Prayer. So I really value and appreciate your comments and your awarenesses as I read through something here from the Science of Mind textbook. And I really value you being here right now and taking this time to devote yourself, whether it's for a minute, whether it's for an hour, whether it's for a day, whether it's for a month, whether it's for a lifetime. Every single second that we say yes to devoting ourselves to returning home within and knowing the truth of who we are is an absolute, it's a powerful yes, an intention that we're setting to being the presence of the divine more fully here as we walk on planet Earth, as we are here as spirit humanoid beings, as I say, doing what we're doing. Then when we realize more greatly the truth of who we are, and as we develop that consciousness and cultivate that knowing and consciousness within our own hearts and minds, we become the living presence more fully. And what does that mean? That means that we live as God. We live as God lives through us. We experience a more fulfilled experience of this life. We know whose we are. And so we're not living from fear. We're living as love. And we're tuning into that love even more deeply and more greatly with who we are, how we communicate with ourselves, the self-talk, the languaging, as we connect more deeply with the divine, as we allow ourselves to not lead our lives from the world of effect. We lead our lives from first cause, knowing the truth of who we are is God, seated in our hearts. And we then experience a different experience, because then we're open to being guided, to listening, to living from the principles of God. Well, they're principles in Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes declared principles, the principles of we believes. And yet there's something back behind all of that, as God is love and life and light. And so as we live from these expressions of the divine, we experience life differently, and we shine out our light even so much more fully as these expressions. And then this becomes a subliminal and an invisible message that we're rippling out to others. And others then give themselves that gift of being this themselves as they see it in us. As we're mirroring, everything is a mirror. The more I read, the less I know. I just wanted to add that bit in, because This body of work is so deep. It can go deep, unto the deep, into the deep, and there is no end to it. It's an eternal learning. And so it could be very easy for one to say, I'll stop here, I know enough. And yet, as we learn, we can get into a place of a plateau, of a set point where our lives are working greatly, and yet we know there's more to reveal for ourselves and more to demonstrate. And I'm not necessarily talking about a physical manifestation of in the world of form, as in, oh, I need this amount of money, or I need this this car, or a walk-in wardrobe filled with amazing clothes. No, I mean, these are like the icing on the cake pieces. The real piece here is to know who and whose we are. It's that deeper awareness of our connection. Then we turn to that to flip it over, and it's like, well, those things are good, and what really, really, really matters is my own knowing of the divinity of who I am, whose I am. So this we practice with prayer. We use prayer as a practice so that we can get closer, so that we can take away that strip away the layers, the onion, peel the onion again and again and again. It's like an endless peeling of this onion. When will it stop? I don't think it ever will. I think the onion is a big onion. It's like one of those cosmic onions. And so we just got to be patient. We're polishing the diamond within. And every time we polish it, we realize it can be so polished. Then we can see another little smear. And that smear, it's nothing bad or wrong. It's just, okay, I can go to that and I can work with it. And I can see where I was holding on to beliefs that no longer serve me, and I can gently and beautifully polish it again and again and again. So it's an eternal job. It's an eternal doing and being, eternal practice. And what did Ernest Holmes give us? He synthesized this work, and he gave us this practice of affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. And that's not to say that it wasn't happening already with certain teachers who were teaching it in certain ways, maybe just before his time or around his time. And yet there was something about the way that he collated these steps, and he worked through them, and he understood them, and he took the time to experiment with how the formation of spiritual mind treatment. And then he placed this into the body of work that he's teaching, known as the science of mind, or religious science, as a dynamic tool that we can use simply without having to scour back through the scriptural texts and this person's writings and that person's writings and this person's understanding. He brought it all together and said, I've done the work for you. Here you are. Here's a practice, and we call it spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. And it's evolved. It went through a different evolution of 5 steps, 3 steps, 7 steps. I mean, it's had its kind of its own revealing itself, and it may have it very well have another revealing of different steps, or different numbers and amounts of steps, or this, we're open at the top. Science of mind. Ernest Holmes knew that this whole philosophy, faith, and way of being is open at the top. And of course, we know this now because now we have quantum physics. Now we have integral theory. Now we have holism and systems theory and different ways of expressing that are philosophy and worldviews that are much more exposed than they were in the time of Ernest Holmes. So yes, of course, it's always evolving. Let's look here. We have some Robin, beautiful Robin Rice. How are you? Yes, yes, that's the one, the cosmic onion, and it keeps growing back. You see, It's like, whoa. The Cosmic Onion, that is the next show. Jonathan, welcome here. Forever student of Dr. Ernest Holmes. I bless you. Yes, being that student, that eternal student, is a good place to be. It's a good yes, definitely. Because I believe that as we evolve in our own understanding and we read outside of Ernest Holmes, stretch our minds and our hearts, then we can also come back to his teachings and question, do I believe what he's saying? Do I believe that this line that he's written, or this paragraph, or this concept is absolutely right or true for me right now? And then we get to question it even more boldly within ourselves. Robin, yes, amen, sister. And Wayne, welcome, Wayne. It's good to be with you here. I'm really excited that you are the guest today. You are the guest. You're the guest speakers. So whatever you put in here that you want to talk about, we can talk about and share and comment on and just be present with, as it's related to prayer. So hello, Gil, Reverend Gil, welcome to the Cosmic Onion Prayer Show today. Welcome here. And I've been really intrigued in the past 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, as I've been a student of Science of Mind, learning and shaping it and conceptualizing it in my own mind, my within myself, and questioning so much of it. And I'm that kind of person that wants to go deeper and find out more, and I won't rest until I've cross-referenced a few things and then kind of, oh, this is a whole new idea. And I'm very excited by the teachers and the healers that came before or at the same time as Ernest Holmes, specifically those that he really punctuated and were put a part of, a vital and integral part of the journey of New Thought as a whole. So for me, those would include Emerson, Mary Baker Eddy, Quimby, Emma Curtis Hopkins, Walter Walker Atkinson, many others, Nona Brooks. I have lists and lists of them. I just mentioned a few. And going deeply into the thought processes and the healing techniques of these individuals is quite something to do as well, because each of these individuals discovered that that with the use of prayer, with the use of spiritual discernment and understanding that there is an emotional intelligence that is needed, a spiritual psychology that is absolutely a part of this whole idea of New Thought. And as these healers and teachers and guides and leaders and speakers became more attuned to the power and presence that is within each of us, they were demonstrating major healings for their own lives. And then they were documenting this and then allowing others to read it and do the same for their own lives too. And Mary Baker Eddy has been in my consciousness for the past month. Don't know why, I'm just following my whole heart instinct here and learning more about her and listening to others talking about her and about the work of Christian Science. In Christian Science, there is a major idea in Christian Science that as spiritual practitioners, we do not need the pill. We do not need the medicine. It's done in the mind of the divine, and doctors are not needed. And Ernest Holmes, and Emma Curtis Hopkins came away from that. She understood that God is in, as, and through everything. And so God is in, as, and through the medicine and the health departments and the medical establishments and the healing modalities of taking drugs, pharmaceutical drugs that may be needed in the moment for something that's happening, or operations or whatever, that the doctors too are God expressing. And yet, if I go to the work of Mary Baker Eddy and read and understand her story, what I understand is that she was so devoted to proving this to herself, that she had a major series of healings. Whether she denied the work of Phineas Quimby or not, she did this work on herself, and she had a major epiphany for herself as she realized that there is a fullness and a greatness as that we know as the infinite, and that as human beings we're only using a portion of this, or we're only tuned into a finite view of this for our lives. And Mary Baker Eddy was the first that claimed, that in God all is possible. This was her mantra. I've used it a lot, hearing it from others, and I've used it in the past couple of years a lot. And then to read that this comes originally from Mary Baker Eddy. She knew that in the infinite, as the infinite, that all is possible, and that any limitation that occurs, especially in the healing process, the mind-body healing process, or the knowing of that there is no process, actually, it's a realization that we are one, that in and as this, that there can be an instantaneous healing and revealing if we open up to believing and having and using that power of faith for our own lives, knowing that we can demand and command of it right now. And what gets in the way is our human filtering, is the perception that we have. And that's why in Science of Mind and with these teachings, we are really pushed, we are really provoked to question our belief or the beliefs that we hold. We're provoked to question them because they are the things that are holding us in a place where we're maybe not experiencing the fullness of our lives. It's because we are holding on to an idea of who we are. We're not quite sure of the fullness of our identity as the divine, and we're hanging on to the effect, the physical form, the materialized world, for the answers in that space, in that place, in that spot. And the answers aren't there. The answers are in the infinite. As the infinite, the solutions are already here. And yet we want to dissect and manipulate and go into the problem. And how can we make the problem better by doing this and speaking to that one and arranging that and doing all of this? And this is not where we create or where we can become at one with the divine and the solution, because we're too busy thinking that it's seemingly out there. So Emma Curtis Hopkins, Mary Baker Eddy kind of coined the knowing of atonement, and she said, she kind of divided that word up into three. At one-ment. That's what she was teaching. She took the Bible, she used it, she read from it, she absolutely delved into it for 3 years. I think she decided to just kind of become the hermit and use the Bible as her teaching. And she knew it was all about at-one-ment, atonement. And so when we look at spiritual mind treatment, and those first 2 steps of spiritual mind treatment, which are, first of all, to recognize omnipresence, as Nona Brooks knew, that was it. Omnipresence, the omnipresence of God. God is everywhere, God is everything. Full stop. If we can get our human minds around that, God is everywhere, God is everything. And it's really let me think and feel in the past few days, as I've really sat with that one, even more so than ever, that why do I need to then say so many words in that recognition part of spiritual mind treatment? Why can't I just sit within myself, God is everywhere, God is everything. God is everywhere. God is everything. God is everywhere. God is everything. God is everywhere. God is everything. it feels to me as if any other words to that are just superfluous. And yet, on some level, we need those other words because we need to believe it for ourselves. We need to kind of pull ourselves into the idea of that and believe that idea that God is everywhere and God is everything. Because when we see so much happening in the world of effect that feels so off, that feels so wrong, that feels so immoral, that feels so unjust, that feels so far away from inclusivity and acceptance and acknowledgement of each other, of ourselves and of each other. When we see this happening, we tend to believe, or we tend to live our lives from the world of effect. And so we're constantly being pulled into this world of effect, thinking and believing that this is where it's all happening and this is where the power is. And so in spiritual mind treatment, the reason why we talk a lot in the treatment, it's not just because the words feel pretty. It's not just because we're trying to say every clever and intellectualized word in the world and kind of stuff it into a piece of verbiage and that's it. No, we're doing this because we're bringing ourselves home with the words. And so we're saying it in the way that gets us to that place that Joel Goldsmith talks of, where that Reverend Laura Hallett brought to our attention in the Wisdom of the Mystics, when Joel Goldsmith said, it's that click within, where we get to that place where, hang on, I'm not here to pray in spiritual mind treatment from the world of effect. I'm here to use that other sense, which is the awareness of the divine sense, the other sense, not the five senses. We're not speaking our spiritual mind treatment from the five senses: see, smell, hear, taste, touch. So the reason that what we're doing in that recognition phase is that we're actually talking ourselves into it. We're talking ourselves out of the world of form, and we're talking ourselves into the infinite. We're having a conversation with the God within that is transcendent and immanent, within and transcendent. And we're having that conversation with our own awareness. We are re-establishing this in our conscious mind, which will then drip into the subconscious. And that then becomes our belief, our springboard. So we're recognizing God is everywhere. God is everything. God is everywhere. God is everything. And we only move to the next the next step when we've got that. If it's not a felt, direct, experiential experience within us in the treatment, if we're moving on into the next step, which is that unification place, then we're not there. We haven't got it. We haven't got to that place within. And so we can say the spiritual mind treatment and kind of, it can be like, what's that? I can't even think of the word now. Just be kind of like, I can't even think of the word, when you're just saying it but not feeling it. We can do that, and maybe over time, if we keep doing that, then one day that will change it within our subconscious as well, because we are continually doing that, resuggesting and repatterning. And yet it's in the feeling, and Ernest Holmes knew this, that it is in the feeling. The meaning is in the feeling. As we're feeling it and we're getting into that place of the fire within, it's like fired up of knowing it. When we know it, like we know it, like we know it, then we move on to the next part of this affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment, because we know God is everywhere. God is everything. There's no question, no shadow of a doubt in there, in our minds. So we get to the next part where the obvious then, well, if God is everywhere and God is everything, then who am I and whose am I? I'm not separate from this. I'm not apart from this experience. I'm not apart from life. I'm not apart from the idea of God. If God is everywhere and God is everything, then I am here as a point of consciousness, as a unit of consciousness, as we each are. And there's nothing outside of it because God is everywhere and God is everything. So this for me is really powerful because it takes me back to, or it leads me into, well, these teachers, these healers that Ernest Holmes synthesized, brought together, pulled together in his mind, became so aware of. There were hundreds of them. He talked to so many people. He didn't stop talking to people and asking them questions. He would talk to a prince or a pauper and anyone in between. He had there was no boundary and there was no idea in his mind that somebody knew more than someone else. For him, he was simply somebody to listen and to hear and to learn from and to experience from, and then to synthesize and to create this body of work that we know of as the science of mind and spirit, and or religious science that he named it. And so affirmative prayer is something that we do. And what is the thing about prayer? What is it that really inspires and also brings forth the demonstration? And I think there are a couple of things here. I think, first of all, it's faith, having the faith of God, not in God. Because as we put faith in God, we are basically saying God can do it for us and I don't have to do anything, which is true in a way. And yet, if we have the faith of God, we know that this is the faith of the divine that is the creative, the idea of all of creation. If we have the faith of God, then we are prepared and we're ready, and we're knowing that whatever it is that we're seeking is already here in the mind of God, in the mind of the divine. And I also believe that one thing that we're really called to do with this whole practice of affirmative prayer and living as spiritual discernment is to step away from the idea that it's not possible, and to step away from doubt, and to retrain our own minds and to repattern and to think and feel it differently and to know it differently for ourselves. So we've come a long way since Mary Baker Eddy. When Mary Baker Eddy, a big part of her body of work was denial. We deny what's there because it's not real and it's not happening. And we just come back to saying the truth every moment. And I think I know, and thankfully, we have evolved as a spiritual philosophy and community, and in our own understanding of how to practice practical spirituality. We know that we're not turning away from the world of form. We're not denying that it's happening. I'm not denying that the group of women that I teach in Africa are finding it difficult for themselves right now to feed themselves and their families. I'm not denying that. You're not denying what's happening in the world of effect and weather disasters and war and politics and race crimes and all sorts of things that are happening. There's no denial here. And we can do both. We can say, yes, right now, this is occurring, and I'm going to use these practices, and I'm going to use spiritual mind treatment, and I'm going to use what I learn and what I know to transform something and alchemize the way I be with this and the way that I am in the world right now. And so there will be a change. And that will inspire ideas. It will give us downloads of information so that we can do things to make that change. We can be the action. We can be the living, breathing action. So the prayer is the portal for this. It opens us up to what is possible, to the infinite way, as Joel Goldsmith calls this, infinite God, where all is possible. In God, as God, all is possible. So as we're using prayer, we're opening up to these possibilities. We're not shutting them away. We're saying, yes, I'm here to be used. I'm here to hear. I'm here to listen. I'm here to take action. And the prayer becomes the foundational piece for this. So when we practice prayer, when we're praying without ceasing, we're basically opening up to being this fantastic instrument of the infinite, an instrument of the infinite right here and right now. And that's very powerful, because the more we do this for ourselves, the more we see our lives transformed. And prayer is the bedrock of this. There was a time when I didn't use prayer. There may have been a time when you haven't used prayer, when it hasn't been even in your awareness or consciousness, and now you do. Now you understand it. And so what I'm inviting you into is a deeper journey with prayer. One beyond where it's, oh, these are the 5 steps and this is what this is what I can do. Let's go even deeper. Let's really understand what these 5 steps are. And let's even open up to, are there more steps? Do we need 5? Maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 8. Let's go even deeper and start questioning our own beliefs about prayer and experimenting with it. I think here we go. Yes. Prayer opens up the portals. Love that. Setting our intentions of infinite solutions. I love that. That's fantastic. I don't have your name here. But welcome. And it's great. That's so great. And there was just one other piece that I was going to say. And I lost my thread because I was really, and watching from Western Kenya. Hello, Western Kenya. In the house, in the prayer house. Good. Barb Destiny. Oh, Barb. Yes. Hello and welcome here, Barb. Catch Barb on the Women of Power show I think it was about 3 weeks ago. Oh, what a great conversation what that was. You can find that on my YouTube channel, Laura Topper. That was a great conversation with Barb. What a beautiful teacher and practitioner and prayer warrior Barb is. So yes, let's go deeper. Let's set a deeper intention even to go further than we have ever been with how to use this thing called prayer. Because it is the bridge. I see it as the bridge piece. It's the kind of like, we've been given this a beautiful gift here. We've been given this amazing gift of spiritual mind treatment that's always been here in the mind of the divine, and it's evolved its way through Ernest Holmes. And as students of spirituality and metaphysics and mysticism, we're each here learning in our own way, getting to where we think we want to get to, wherever that is, in our own way, reading books, watching interesting videos online, absorbing information about spirituality and about consciousness and about these amazing new thought pioneers that gave of themselves as they became their own human experiment for these new thought teachings. That's what they were doing. They were not just accepting things they were actually taking things within their own heart. They were taking these concepts within, and they were becoming their own experiment, and then they were teaching it, and they were sharing it, and they were seeing how this was working for others as others started having healings along the way for their lives. And the deep realization of the mind-body connection that was coming through, that we are one. Not only where were we thinking, well, we are one with the divine, well, we are one on a cellular level, on a molecular level, on an atomic level, on a quantum level. We are one. And so there is no differentiation of the mind and body. So what Mary Baker was realizing was that her body is her and it's all one. God is everywhere. God is everything. And she healed. She revealed truth, and a healing happened for her in a very profound way. So for me, Ernest Holmes I'm in love with Ernest Holmes. If anyone knows me, they know that I am in love with Ernest Holmes. What he has done and what he's created, and what he's in, the intention that still is created with the body of this work, Science of Mind and Spirit, religious science, is immense. And I love delving into, where did he get that from? Where did he discover that from? And I can find that in the other teachers, the New Thought teachers that were in his conscious awareness, in his mental atmosphere, as he was bringing all of this together. So I want to go into the textbook a little bit, just dropped another pen. If you have any questions, anything you want to say, just please put it in here as we talk a little bit about prayer. I'm not going to talk all about this because it's a big page. I mean, I don't mean it's a big page, but let's just see where we go. It's page 153. If you have the textbook with you and you're on page 153, then you're so welcome to just... We are a crocheted web, love it, of creative energy. So we can use this web of oneness to create and heal ourselves and each other. I pray for all our wellness and peace. Thank you, Barb. Love that idea of a crocheted web. Yes. So let's take this. If you have it with you, if not, that's okay. Prayer is its own answer. This is just where I've come to for today, just right now, coming in, dipping in here. Cause and effect are but two sides of thought, and spirit being all. All is both cause and effect. So again and again, there's nothing outside of God. There's nothing outside of God. We don't fix anything from the effect. That's too far down the line. It's too far gone. We can't do it. And you'll know that in your life. I know that in my life. When I try and do that, then it may look and appear as if there's a solution and a demonstration of something shifting and changing because, oh, I've been so clever and I've managed to do this, that, and the other. And it doesn't work. It does not have a long-term effect at all. So, okay, Laura, go back to prayer. The Bible tells us, before they call, I will answer. And he says, before our prayer is framed in words, God has already answered. But if, in italic, if our prayer is one of partial belief, then there is only a tendency towards its answer. If the next day we are wholly doubt, then there is no answer at all. In dealing with mind, we are dealing with a force we cannot fool. We cannot create principle out of the slightest shadow of our most subtle concept. The hand writes and passes on, but the writing remains. And the only thing that can erase is It is writing of a different character. There's no obstruction one cannot dissipate by the power of truth. So this is what I've been sharing here, is that we can't look at the effect and change it from there. We have to surrender. We have to surrender, or we're invited to surrender to something else, to another way. And it's no coincidence that this broadcast now is in between Christmas and New Year. Yep, we can go out, material, being consumers, circulating money, going into big shopping centers and doing that post-Christmas thing. Or we can go within. And we can use this time right now to contemplate more deeply. Where are we living our lives from? Are we living it from the effect? Or are we intentionally using the infinite, using God, and being used by God consciously? And we can state a new way during this time. We can say it and feel it and do it differently. Because it's great having New Year's resolutions that get kind of eked out in February, because we're trying to change it from the world of effect. And if we come back to this place in our hearts where we know that we can make, or we can be our own transformation by using these practices, this one great practice of spiritual mind treatment as our foundational piece, taking us in before any idea is set in effect, being the living prayer, praying without ceasing, using it intentionally for our lives right now, stating that as a New Year's resolution, that prayer is the way forwards for 2023 and beyond. Using this incredible practice, it's beyond a tool, and really it's beyond a practice, but we have to practice it. We have to flex those prayer muscles, and we have to be committed to it. So we go on a journey of discovery of what prayer really is and how we can use it more effectively for our lives. And we can look at 2023 too, and we can see all of the greatness and all of the celebratory wins and the fantastic things that we have done. Yes, and we acknowledge those things and we say, yes, I used prayer for this. I knew that I was consciously using spiritual mind treatment, or I was using the law consciously and creatively. And this is what happened in 2022. Isn't that amazing? And then we can also say, and this piece hasn't yet fulfilled itself. This piece I'm still working on. Not that it hasn't happened, and not that there's any blame or any kind of putting ourselves through any judgment of any kind whatsoever. Just noticing, okay, this piece I can still evolve into. And the deeper question, or the greater question, is, am I going to do it differently? Am I going to demonstrate it thoroughly by using spiritual mind treatment, by using prayer, by using these spiritual practices and tools, spiritual discernment, emotional intelligence, understanding deep down and knowing who and whose I am, and living from the infinite rather than from the world of effect. And then we can prove it to ourselves again with what it is we're wanting to seek for our lives, a deeper fulfillment of certain things for our lives. So we turn within. We go shopping inside, in here, in our hearts, in our minds, before we go shopping out in the world of effect for the things that we think we need in order to be successful. We look to the one, and God is everywhere, and God is everything. And so I am saying this right now as I'm really, really inspired, because I know on some level, this time of year it can suck. There are memories, there are things, there are circumstances. Yes, there are healings and great things. And also, there are things that can pull us into a feeling of, it doesn't feel so good around here, around this time right now. And I think for me, what's coming through is remembering that God is everywhere and God is everything. And when I break that down and I know that God is love, God is life, and God is light, then I know love and life and light are everywhere and everything. So if we can use that as our spiritual mind treatment going forwards, there will be a change. There will be a transformation in the way that we feel. And more, I'm realizing that the less that's said, the better, because this is an inward journey, an inward adventure that we each are called to take those steps in our own hearts, in our own way, and allow yourself to be guided. If it's picking up a Science of Mind magazine, reading something somewhere, picking up the textbook, listening to a video on YouTube with a spiritual teacher that you love and that you resonate with, or sitting in the stillness and just having that connection for a few moments to live from the infinite, to be from the infinite, then you are evolving in a way where you are learning to use God and be used by God. And as we do this day by day, moment by moment, step by step, we see our lives transformed. And this is the cosmic prayer for today. So I'm going to be continuing in the next year from now, as I've been through a few shifts and changes in my world and many great things happening for me in 2023. I completed the Holmes Institute ministerial education process. That was 4 years, really 10 years since I walked the labyrinth in 2012, that completely changed my idea of my life. And then became married with my honeypot sweetheart, Jason, this year. Another set of beautiful vows with Jason. And so many healings and things that have happened this year for me in the most beautiful ways. And time to contemplate and revision my work in the world and how I'm coming forwards as I minister and create my spiritual business and bring that forwards into life. And so I'm going to be coming with the cosmic prayer at a different time, and it will happen from my Facebook page, from the Facebook group, the Cosmic Prayer, in the new year. So look out there to see it happening from there. New Thought Media Network is doing incredible and exciting things for 2023. So stay with New Thought Media Network. After this program, of course, we have a practical prayer with Reverend Bill, and also stay subscribed to the YouTube channel for New Thought Media Network, because that's the place where you're going to find all of the amazing things. It's difficult to scroll through Facebook to look back for something that happened last week or whenever, YouTube, though, is a great channel. So make sure you subscribe there. and be a part of the New Thought Media Network community on YouTube. And you'll be notified with the new cosmic prayers that come up during the next, in the new year, at more random times than being on a Monday at this time. So all change and yet transforming in great and wondrous ways. Because I know that this too is God expressing God is everywhere and God is everything. And I'm inviting you to dip into these great teachers that are a part or woven into the consciousness, the foundations of new thought. These teachers and healers that proved it and knew it for themselves, as Ernest Holmes did in a different way, each of them doing it in their own different ways. And Mary Baker Eddy, I believe, has a lot that we can learn from in her body of work. And then, of course, on from her came Emma Curtis Hopkins, who's the teacher of teachers, who saw it differently to Mary Baker. So it's great to get this understanding in our own hearts of the journey and the adventure of prayer and how it has evolved from a begging and beseeching to an affirmative knowing and claiming. And this is what lights up our lives by using it as a practical tool so that we know it, we claim it, and we be it, and then we take inspired action. And Robin, this is the way I learn about my expectation and my opportunities to pursuits, to be guided, to remember. Yes, that's perfect. Remembering who we are and whose we are. It's great being here all with you. And I'm excited for the new year and for the opportunities and possibilities, because in God, all is possible. And this is what I'm going to kind of complete on today. Hi, Zoe. Welcome, Zoe. It's great to be with you here. Love and blessings. Thank you for all that you do and that you are. Choice your creative superpower. That is Zoe's broadcast and show here on New Thought Media Network. And of course, Robin Rice and Reverend Gill rocking the love every Wednesday here on New Thought Media Network. That is an amazing, amazing broadcast. Two great presenters, broadcasters, three, Robin, Reverend Gill, and Zoe, doing amazing things in the world to bring us back to that knowing of who we are with their programming. And Wayne, yes, you can embrace the new, of course, in each and every moment. So let's do a spiritual mind treatment together right now to knowing the new, to embracing the new. If you're with me here and this is kind of what you feel like doing, then we're going to embrace the new in spiritual mind treatment together. And I'm welcoming you to, if you wish to close your eyes, totally up to you. Do it however you do it. I like to close my eyes because then I really know I'm switching off from the world of effect and anything that may distract me in the moment. And I'm switching in to the infinite. As we take a breath in here, and remember this breath is the breath of God that is breathing itself in through and as everything. I know, in the words of Mary Baker Eddy, that God is everywhere, God is everything, and all is possible in God and as God. That the infinite is far beyond my human mind understanding. The infinite expression of the divine is something far greater than I can ever imagine or know. By saying and knowing that there are multiverses and universes and galaxies and stratospheres and Milky Ways and stars, thousands and billions and millions of stars and moons and suns, that this too is God. God is everywhere, God is everything. And as I breathe this in and realize and remember and recognize that this planet Earth, home, Gaia, Mother Earth, this planet Earth to whom we are each magnetized to, every creature, every form, whatever shape, whatever size, every being, that this is God, light and love and life, expressing right now the pulsation of this consciousness and energy, that God is love and law, the idea of these, the creative essence of this life, that is pulsating and knowing and flowing itself in as and through everything. And yes, this is me. I know that I too am this expression of the divine, for there is nothing outside of God. There is no one outside of God. God is everywhere and God is everything. And I know this is me too. So I breathe this in and know this for each and every one of us here right now. God is everywhere and God is everything. And each and every one is a divine emanation. I know this in my mind, as each and every one is my mind, as the one mind, that we are each the one mind. What I think seemingly and perceive of as separate, my mind, your mind, their mind, it's all one mind. God, Goddess, love, spirit, source. And so I realize that in each and every moment right now, there is a new refreshing, revitalizing, re-energizing, new possibilities are present and available in each and every moment, in every now. There is a new opportunity that as we enter into this new year, 2023, a new cycle, a recycling, 365 days, that as we enter into this with the consciousness of yes, using prayer, using this spiritual mind treatment practice, affirmative prayer, using it as the foundational piece, as the first piece, before entering into any seeming changes that we think may need to happen in the world of effect. I see that each and every one of us use the power of this practice in a definite, powerful, and dynamic way to transform again and again and again those ideas and concepts and things that can recreate a life well lived, a meaningful and fulfilled life, revitalized, that is the true idea of well-being and vitality and prosperity and healing and abundance and love and joy and fulfillment and of divine right work in the world. I know that spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer as a practice in itself is an immense opportunity to commune with the divine, with the infinite. And so I know that as I turn more and more gratefully and gracefully to this practice, that I experience life in a whole new way. And that as I see each and every one of us doing this to the degree that we choose, that our lives are transformed. It seems as if seeming miracles are taking place. And yet this miracle is simply how life works. And so as we use this practice, as I use this practice more and embrace these miracles, I know that I'm embracing the holy light of the divine. and that I am turning to the way that life works as my stated practice for my life. And as we each do this and see transformations happening that are so immense, so beautiful, so glorious, so glory-filled, and so graceful, I know that this is God working through and as more fully, more powerfully. And I know that as we come into this new cycle of 2023, that there is an awakening, a great awakening of hearts and minds. I know that what felt as if it may be impossible changes. Seeming impossibilities now become possible. That crooked way is made straight. And it is done so with the power of prayer, with the power of spiritual discernment and emotional intelligence and deep, deep surrendering to the divine, as the divine in me and as and in each and every one of us. So I know that this prayer is a power prayer. And I know that the light and the love and the life as God is all power and all presence. And I feel this here right now. And I am so grateful for each and every individual that is here. I'm grateful for this technology, for New Thought Media Network, Reverend Robert Brzezinski and his beautiful wife, Lara. And I'm grateful for the cosmic prayer that sets in motion a brand new idea for my life and for each of our lives if we choose that. I know that God is here streaming as love. This love stream is absolutely perfect, whole, and complete. And so knowing this, I let this be, letting it go, knowing that God is here, love is here, that all is good and all is love. And as I let this go, I breathe into my heart and exhale as this love itself. And so it is. And blessings, 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 cosmic onion prayer blessings. That's a great show, Cosmic Onion. Yes, it's so great being here with you. And so it is, Zoe, and so it is. And stay tuned in here because we have practical prayer happening right now, actually. So as I click off, you can stay and be with Reverend Bill. Love and blessings to you, and absolutely embrace and embody and enjoy this holiday festive season time. And I will be back here tomorrow night with Reverend Kathy Mastroianni for our final edition of The Wisdom of the Mystics. That's at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Until then, be the love, be the love, be the love.